the home of the Berwick Bulldogs. This is W234BH Berwick at 94.7, WBWX W242CY Berwick at 96.3, W282CO Bloomsburg at 104.3, W288CF Danville at 105.5, and streaming online at thisispopradio.com. Pop Radio, a Seven Mountains Media radio station. Just 1 hour before kickoff, it's time for the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio. A conversation with Berwick Bulldogs Mike Bennett and the voice of the Dogs, Jim Doyle. Brought to you by Bob Subs, W&L Subaru, Nissan, Mazda, and Collision Center, First Columbia Bank and Trust, Flick Brothers Electric, Independence Ford, Preferred Portables, Mayo Funeral Home, Neighbor Fence Company, S.J. Kowalski, Reds Roofing, Nespoli Jewelers, ND Accounting, Mason Monogram, Eco First, Lehigh Valley Health Network, and Blaze Alexander Family Buick GMC of Bloomsburg.
Well, after playing an unbeaten Dallas team on the road last Friday, the Bulldogs are back at Crispin Field tonight to take on another big challenge. The Ironmen of Danville are in town, bring with them a 6-1 record. Their only loss to unbeaten Southern Columbia. This is a special night for Berwick football, and ceremonies held earlier, a stretch of street that parallels Crispin Field was officially named George Curry Way in honor of Berwick's late legendary coach. So I thought we'd devote our first segment to a little bit of a debate of the greatest teams that George coached. Maybe we can come to a consensus. I doubt it, Bo.
I doubt it.
But there were some really good teams.
Absolutely.
Obviously, before the state playoffs came, there was an undefeated team in 81. I'm going to let you make the case for your team in 83, which was also unbeaten. Once the state playoffs came about, 88 and 92, both unbeaten teams. Jake Kelsher, 88, Ron Paulus, 92. Dave Robbins, who's on your staff, will tell you that the 95 team was the best. They were undefeated, but 96 was also undefeated after he went away. So you were senior on the 1983 team that went 13-0, 11 shutouts along the way, which is pretty amazing. Give us your best argument why the 83 team was best.
Well, I think that case in point at the end, we had 11 shutouts of the 13. I think we only had, I don't know if there was 13 or 14 points scored. Scored on the starters. I just felt we were on both sides of the ball on all phases, and even special teams. That's my thing toward. But it's so hard. It's like Jim. It's like saying who's a better player. Jordan or LeBron, because it's different eras, it's different times. It's so hard. It's so hard as things change. I mean, you could never do it now compared to them. But, they were all back in the 80s and everything. And I got to play, my mentors were, Keith Seeley and Hindleiter, two safeties. I never started until I was a junior. We had some great teams. Just like everybody, Mike West was I think, really underrated. Mike West had a hell of an arm, went to Temple. They were a good team.
He was the 81
quarterback. I came in after him, and then obviously, Ronnie was Ronnie's Ronnie. Ronnie had my brother and Mike Bennett, and those guys were great. I didn't get to see a lot of them because I was gone in college and playing in the NFL. But just know about those teams, and I think, I played quarterback here, and everyone's saying, and I know, and I think Ronnie was tremendous at what he just dropped back, but I just think Jake reminded me of like Brett Favre. I think Jake was one of the tops all around kind of guy. Ronnie was throwing 18-yard outs on dimes. As a senior in high school.
We'll get back to that 83 unbeaten Berwick team that you were senior on. I looked at the scores. 16, Shikellamy 14. You remember that one?
Yeah, I remember distinctly. I threw a pick. We were down. We were up. And I threw a pick, and they marched all the way down, and they scored on us. And it was 16-14, and they went for two. They went for the tie. And I can remember like it was yesterday. Scott Radimus was our nose tackle, skated through the A gap and tackled him in the backfield, and that's how we won. So they could have tied it, and when we could have had 11 shutouts, this and that, and lost to Shikellamy. We just we didn't play very well, but Shikellamy back in the day in the Wing T, they were really, really tough.
Yeah, I was going to say, people today probably look back and say they had trouble with Shikellamy. Well, that was
Shikellamy was big. I mean, they had some really quick backs. You couldn't see. It was like that triple option kind of thing. Two guys motion everywhere and they would fly out. But always big, strong linemen. I mean, they were great wrestling powerhouse back in our day, and we had a tussle. We just didn't play well.
Well, it's a tribute to the legendary late coach George Curry that there's such a debate.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many good teams. Describe, if you can, since you played for him, what was so special about him as a coach?
He was the most. How would I put this? He was the most motivating person I've ever been around, and I've played at all levels of football. I would be at practice at Cincinnati or something. Hey, how's George doing? All of my NFL coach. I'm like, how the hell do you know George Curry? You know, I mean, it's a small town. He was well known all over the place. George was just so, like I said, he was the biggest motivator that I've ever been around. I mean, he played average kids, made them better. He made better kids, great kids. Like, he just had you. I was in the hallway. I remember he was our vice principal when I was coming up through in my last year, and I remember him like corner me in the locker and elbow him. It was the day after we won the championships, or the Monday after, and he's like, Carmel says you're a little sissy. I wouldn't say the word he's saying, but like, he had me going for next year. Like, he was already looking for next year and always going, and he always, I remember when I was driving in our driver's ed. I got a call on Sunday, and me and Dave Reagan and all, we go up, and we've driven before, but hey, Wilkes-Barre Myers got new turf. Let's go check it out. So I drove up, and Dave drove back, and that was just like one of our trips. I mean, it was just football. Yeah. And the guy was like, he was ahead of his time. I mean, watching, when I watched that thing in the theater, there was tears in my eyes when I watched his video, because he was so, Lake Lehman throwing a ball. Nobody did that back then. I mean, it was totally running their ball. And he was just so ahead of his time. He knew how to come in at halftime. The adjustments that he made, he can just watch something and adjust. Like, we were sitting here earlier, and my only regret in life was not coaching with him. I've played for him, and I was around him all the time. I used to go to breakfast with him, and got to know him as a man other than a player. But I never coach him, and I would just love to kind of take that back.
Well, I can't wait to get my car and drive down George Curry Way, the street in Berwick paralleling Crespin Field. Ceremonies earlier named for the late legendary coach. So special night tonight for Berwick football. Up next, we'll talk about the Bulldogs' last outing, last Friday's game at Dallas. You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio.
Save today on a great selection of the best appliance brands and discover top-notch service at Flick Brothers Electric in Bloomsburg. Browse their showroom, which features appliances in a variety of different kitchen configurations and offers appliances and water heaters for every budget. Flick Brothers showcases top names like GE and GE Monogram, Whirlpool, Frigidaire, KitchenAid, Maytag, Sharp, Amana, and built in the USA Speed Queen and Viking appliances. Flick Brothers Electric, Maple Lane, Bloomsburg, for over 65 years. Call 570-784-3444.
The subs at Bob's Subs and Pizza in Berwick have so much meat in them, you'll be having leftovers for days. The Italian is piled high with fresh slices of ham, capicola, salami, and pepperoni on a freshly baked bun. Bob's cheesesteak oozes with cheesy goodness woven into a mountain of thinly sliced ribeye steak. So if you're tired of bland, unsatisfying subs, Bob's Subs and Pizza in Berwick is your new go-to. With over 22 different kinds of sumptuous, hearty subs, you'll find just the one or two to cure your cravings. And the pizza at Bob's Subs and Pizza, oh, it's so good. Bob's Subs and Pizza in Berwick. Taste the difference.
I would recommend Seven Mountains Media because they are on top of everything when it comes to your website. Hello, my name is Stacy Charles. I'm the owner of White Horse Graphics. Well, we had a basic website built, and it was time to move the website focus on me as the owner to a business able to stand on its own. And that's what we're looking for with our new professional website that you see online now. We had security issues with our Facebook page. Immediately they called. As far as updates and things like that, they're constantly checking in, asking if there's anything that we need or updated. And as soon as I give my change to the designers, within, I would say, 24 hours, if not sooner, those changes are completed. We've had other companies that we've dealt with that I would send changes to, and it would never happen.
Let Seven Mountains Media build your next website. To learn more, visit yourstoryourhelp.com.
You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio with the voice of the Berwick Bulldogs, Jim Doyle.
The Bulldogs played at Danville last season. It was the first meeting with the Ironmen since 1980. Dallas, you need a good start.
Isn't it? It's a real tough way to start, especially when you're pumping all week and like, listen, I said they were a very well coached team. Rich does a great job up there, and they're very, very sound. And you can't have penalties, you can't have mistakes. And right off the bat, they do that, and I just think that inflated us. And it was one of those games, Jim, that like I've been in a few of those games that I don't care what you do, you just can't do the right thing. Nothing goes your way. Every ball bounces this way. From it, but we're moving on.
In the 3 or 4 weeks prior to the Dallas game, your offense had been pretty prolific with. Go
backside on them. They spied a little bit on our quarterback.
You had been praising your team's effort. It was a great effort that Andy and I saw on Fridays. Was it not there Friday, or just a superior opponent?
I think a little bit of both. I don't think we had the effort as we had in the other games. And like I said, in the Wilkes-Barre game, we were down 7 with 8 minutes to go. I mean, they had 75 guys on their roster. I mean, our kids have been fighting their butts off. I don't know if we just deflated early there. I think just when they scored a couple of things early and they were undefeated and this and that, it kind of went to our kids. We're banged up. I mean, we don't have, our numbers are down and we're banged up, and there's no excuses, but everything was off. I mean, it was just a weird night, and to get out of there with that, at that.
Well, another tough opponent tonight, the Ironmen of Danville. Bo will tell us about them a little bit later, but up next, the Bulldog Spotlight feature. You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio.
Experience a drive that makes you feel more connected than ever before at W&L Mazda. Discover the exhilarating power and stunning design of the all-new Mazda CX-90. Right now, we have as low as 3.9% financing for 60 months on this third-row SUV with seating up to 8, or go swiftly and confidently in a fuel-efficient Mazda CX-30, which offers up to 33 miles per gallon and as low as 2.9% financing for 60 months. We're off Route 11 in Northumberland. Online at WNLMazda.com. Financing for well-qualified applicants only. Offer cannot be combined with any other offers. See dealer for complete details. Ends October 31st.
Red's Roofing, the roofing ninjas of Berwick. The roofing experts for all of our listening area. With over 30 years experience and great rates, why go anywhere else when Red's Roofing will get the job done right for your roofing, decks, and siding. Specializing in metal roofs, rubber roofs, and shingles. Most of the work is done in one day. Red's Roofing, the roofing ninjas. Now located in Dushore and also serving Bradford and Sullivan counties with owner Harry Titus, a supporter of the Berwick football team and St. Jude Children's Hospital. Call 570-752-4351.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio with the voice of the Berwick Bulldogs, Jim Doyle.
The Ironmen of Danville are here at Crespin Field tonight to take on the Bulldogs. Danville's 6-1. and only 2 of their games have been competitive, a win over Loyalsock and their only loss to unbeaten Southern Columbia. In our next segment, Bo will tell us why the Ironmen are so good, but now it's time for our weekly feature, Bulldog Spotlight. Tonight, the spotlight on junior two-way lineman Chase Shuckers. Bo, Chase is your starting right tackle on offense. What does he bring to the table as an offensive lineman?
Well, Chase is a junior and started for us last year, I think last 2 years. And Chase is just a solid player. He's just fighting a little bit of, his knees are a little sore right now. I mean, he tore his meniscus last, I think it was in the summer or last spring. And he's just got some knees, so we're trying to savor him. But Chase he's been an old style player. He's what Berwick football exemplifies. Like, he's a hard-nosed kid. He's in there always lifting weights, always pounding the weights, and just plays hard. It's just that, like I said, he's been a little banged up for his knees, but his effort and his heart is definitely in it. He's a great kid.
Listed at 6'1", 268, good size for a high school lineman.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a big boy. He came in stronger this year, and like I said, we got him back next year. But he's been playing real solid. I mean, he's one of our most consistent, on our linemen on the field.
Wedding's 100%. Obviously, you'd like to use him at least part of the time on defense. What does he bring there?
We do. We try to play him at nose to hold up the nose when they get doubled and just kind of sit everything down. But like I said, we're banged up all over the place, so we're shipping guys in and out. It's hard to get a consistency, of a defense like that, and they've been running the ball on us. So, but I wish he was healthy. If he could go both ways in every play. I mean, we'd love to have him, but we need him for the rest of the season. We've got 3 more games and possibly the playoffs, so we want to savor him too.
He's just a junior. What's the next step for him? What's his ceiling?
I tell you what, I'm looking forward to him coming back next year, being one of the leaders. He's a big boy. I know how hard he worked in this offseason. I know he's going to work his butt off. Go to a couple camps, and he's definitely a next level, player in college. He's definitely going to go play some college ball somewhere.
In the Bulldog Spotlight, junior lineman Chase Shuckers. Tonight, Chase and his Bulldog teammates take on Danville here at Crispin Field. Up next, Bo will tell us about the Ironmen's explosive offense. You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio.
Jim Doyle and the Berwick Bulldogs Coach Mike Bennett Show. Brought to you by Bob Subs, W&L Subaru, Nissan, Mazda, and Collision Center, First Columbia Bank and Trust, Wood Brothers Electric, Independence Ford, Preferred Portables, Mayo Funeral Home, Neighbor Fence Company, S.J. Kowalski, Reds Roofing, Nespoli Jewelers, ND Accounting, Mason Monogram, Eco First, Lehigh Valley Health Network, and Blaze Alexander Family Buick GMC of Bloomsburg. The Coach Bennett Show, only right here on Pop Radio.
Even though it's Halloween at Alexander Family Buick GMC in Bloomsburg, we're not afraid. We're not afraid of the strike because we have over 90 new Buicks and GMCs in stock now and more on the way. Plus, we need your trade. So we're also giving you a 20% buyback bonus on your trade. You'll get 20% over the KBB fair trade value. So there's nothing to fear here. Just great selection, great deals, and more for your trade. All this month at Alexander Family Buick GMC. The lowest price guaranteed.
The Mayo Funeral Homes, located at 110 Chestnut Street in Berwick and 77 Main Street in Chickashinny, are proud sponsors of Berwick Bulldog football. The Mayo Funeral Homes, serving all faiths, makes it easier for those you love with pre-arranged funeral counseling, insurance, and pre-financed funerals. Mayo Funeral Homes also offers expert guidance in both traditional and cremation services. Mayo Funeral Homes, perfection in every detail.
As a community bank, First Columbia Bank and Trust knows the value of helping our young people dream, excel, and reach their goals. For more than 120 years, First Columbia has been committed to helping our communities prosper and our youth succeed. We're proud to invest in our youth through athletics, the arts, and education. First Columbia Bank and Trust, with you and your children every step of the way.
Every step of the way, First Columbia Bank.
In our efforts to support the Subaru Loves to Help initiative, WNL is supporting 3 local business marketing grants from Seven Mountains Media. These grants will help our local businesses succeed, which leads to a stronger community. At WNL, we are more than just a car dealer. We are part of the community.
You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio with the voice of the Berwick Bulldogs, Jim Doyle.
On the night when legendary coach George Curry had a street name for him, it seems fitting that both head coaches played for Curry here at Berwick. The Bulldogs' acting head coach, Bo Orlando, was a senior on George's 1983 team, and Danville's first-year head coach Carl Major was a senior on Curry's 1986 team. Danville is the highest-scoring team the Bulldogs will face this season, averaging over 42 points a game. More passing than rushing, 242-plus passing, just 125-7 rushing. Well, before we talk about the key personnel, and you have some terrific personnel, let's talk about schemes. So what do they look like on offense? What do they run?
They run a lot of spread. They're in trips a lot. They run a lot of spread, and the quarterback's a great kid. I mean, they've got some linemen back from last year. Not big, but very, very well schooled. And they protect for him, and he slings it around. You don't get very often, you get a lot of high school quarterbacks that can sling it like this guy does. And he's got some targets, man. They're probably the most talented team that we're going to play this year.
Madden Patrick is that quarterback. He wears number 13 as a junior with the amazing numbers. 64% of his passes complete, 1,466 yards, 25 touchdowns, and just 3 interceptions. He's the real deal, isn't he?
He is. I mean, he was their backup last year, came in and played against us last year, and they had a really good quarterback last year, and he was awaiting, and now it's his time. So he got a lot to play last year because, like I said, they blew out some teams. They had their dream team last year. He got to play a lot in the varsity games, and that helps out definitely. You know, just like the Southern, just like those guys at the JVs that play a lot on Friday nights. And he's got a great arm, and he just can hurt you in every way.
It's amazing how good Danville is considering what they lost. Their all-time leading receiver, Carson Persing, now doing very, very well at Lafayette College. But as you mentioned, they have some terrific receivers. 21, Aaron Johnson, and number 7, Carter Raup, each have 30 catches. Cole Duffy, number 4, has 17. That's quite a trio.
Yeah, Aaron Johnson kind of reminds me of Persing a little bit. I mean, he's just, he's a little scattered. He's got great hands. He can run. But the rest of them, I mean, they got Bo in the backfield. I mean, they just, every position, every receiver can hurt you. They're really, really solid on defense. And like I said, this is going to be a big challenge for, and unfortunately, we're coming off a huge loss from Dallas and not a great, I wouldn't say effort, but not a great game all around, coaches and players. And it's going to be a tough challenge.
You've faced some good running quarterbacks. Madden Patrick, probably not one of those. At least he doesn't run that much. You mentioned Bo Sheptock. Of course, he was at Berwick until he transferred to Danville in the off season. He's averaging over 9 yards a carry. What makes him a good running back?
Well, I mean, who's that, Bo?
Bo.
Yeah, Bo. I mean, Bo is penciled in to be our number 1 player here before he transferred this year. Bo's just a very, very talented, very slashing, kind of kid, and he's a hell of an athlete. And we were really sorry to lose him in the beginning of the year, but understanding the circumstances. But Bo can get you every way. Bo's played for us as a freshman. He started as a freshman. This is his 3rd year playing varsity football, and he's only a junior. So he's explosive. He can break him anytime, and like I said, he's football savvy. He's been around for a long time.
That offensive front isn't the biggest one you face this season, but they have one outstanding player, number 53, Justin Kutcher. He's 6'1", 265. He can really get after it, can he?
Really, really good at it. Like I said, they're athletes. I mean, they're not huge on the front, but they do a really good job. Mike did a great job coaching him last year. He was, he was a line guy, and they've picked up right where they left off, and they just give Madden Patrick so much time back there. The guy sits back there and with a great arm, it's almost like watching a pro style offense. So they can hurt you every way, backside, front side. I mean, it's just going to be a tough battle for us this week.
Up next, Bo evaluate Danville's defense. You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio.
Mason's Monogramming has the largest selection of Bulldog items in Berwick. Family owned with more than 30 years experience and new Bulldog wear for every age, including masks, tees, polos, sweater shirts, jackets, and hats. They even have brand new indestructible silicone cups, koozies, car coasters, decals, and more. Shop at masonsmonogram.com for their new items and select in-person pickup or shipping right to you. Follow their Instagram at Mason's Monogram for their latest new items. Mason's Monogram service in Berwick. Let them personalize for you.
Hi, this is Cassidy from the Independence Ford Service Department, Route 11 in Bloomsburg. Does your Ford or Lincoln vehicle need service? Having trouble getting an appointment at your usual service center? At Independence Ford, we can and will take care of all your service needs. Regardless of where you purchase your Ford or Lincoln vehicle, our goal is to get you back on the road. Give me a call for an appointment today at 784-1414.
Come and get a great deal and total satisfaction.
Independence Ford, better people, better prices.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The pandemic is over, but COVID-19 is here to stay. In fact, it's still among the top 5 leading causes of death in the U.S., just after heart disease and cancer. So this fall, stay up to date with the latest COVID-19 vaccines, just like you do with the flu, because you've got no time for 19. The vaccine may not be for everyone. Please consult with your doctor. Brought to you by Moderna.
You're listening to the Coach Bennett Show on Pop Radio with the voice of the Berwick Bulldogs, Jim Doyle.
Weekend number 8 of high school football's regular season kicks off tonight. Here at Crispin Field, it's the Bulldogs against the 6-1 Ironmen of Danville. Though Danville lost some great players from last year's defense that pitched 7 shutouts, including Carson Persing, who we mentioned, who's also the school's all-time leading receiver. Their leading tackler, Mason Raup, is gone. But they're only giving up 12 points a game, so they're still pretty good, aren't they?
Very good. Like I said, when you get into these high school teams, I mean, sometimes you have some really, really good teams, solid linemen, this and that. They just got athletes all over the place, whether it's their linebackers or DBs and even their defensive lines. They're so athletic, and they make plays. I mean, they're aggressive. But they're very well schooled in football. Their football IQ is high, and they just make plays being athletic. And it's tough to block, to go out and block all day. And athletic kids.
They listed 4-4 as their base defense. Is that what you expect your team to face most of the game? Yeah,
and I know Sean, our old coordinator, Sean Sheptuck's there doing a coordinator, and they run a little bit of the 4-2, which we ran here. I ran with Sean, so they mix it up. That's their base, but they'll take someone out. Depending on us, I would assume they'll probably put someone more in the box and try to take our running game out, and having Bo coming down as a safety in the box and playing her too deep. But like you said, doesn't matter what they run, you still got to execute. I mean, they're just tough to run on, and they're tough to pass on. The kids understand the defense very well.
Personnel wise, their inside linebacker Cameron Kirsch, number 34, is a tackling machine. He's 6th in all of District 4 in tackles. What makes him so good?
He's aggressive. I mean, he was there last year. He's a tough kid. He played on that, championship team. And, like I said, when you get a kid, 6'1", 210 in high school, that's a nice size kid as a linebacker. That's a real nice size. And, he can run. He can go side to side. He can go forward and back. And I mean, he's just, like I said, he's athletic, and that's the best kind of linebacker, and ultra aggressive.
So to be in this game, your offense obviously has to do some scoring. They have to, at the very least, keep the football for some time. It didn't happen last week at Dallas. What has to happen tonight?
We definitely have to, like you said, we have to control the clock a little bit. I mean, we're going to have to find a way how to run a ball against them a little bit. And we like I've been saying for weeks, we just got to throw the ball a little bit better. Ethan's been running a little better up until last week. We didn't do anything very well last week, but we have to throw on them. We have to throw a little bit on them to get them up, because they're going to just run like every other team, 8-9 in the box. And I don't care who you're playing against, 8-9 in the box is very, very tough to run against.
Oh, thanks as usual. Best of luck.
Thank you, Jim.
Listen for another edition of the Coach Bennett Show next Friday prior to the Bulldogs game at Crestwood. Stay tuned now for Danville at Berwick football here on Pop Radio.
You've been listening to the Coach Bennett Show. Brought to you by Blaze Alexander Family Buick GMC of Bloomsburg, Lehigh Valley Health Network, Eco First, Mason Monogram, MD Accounting, Nespoli Jewelers, Reds Roofing, S.J. Kowalski, Neighbor Fence Company, Mayo Funeral Home, Bob Subs, Preferred Portables, Independence Ford, Flick Brothers Electric, First Columbia Bank and Trust, and W&L Subaru, Nissan, Mazda, and Collision Center. Stay tuned for Berwick football on Pop Radio and streaming all over the world